Good evening, everyone. Today we will discuss about Earth's 100 one-liner, Earth's crust, about Earth's crust. Okay, 100 one-liner about Earth crust. So this is the first general facts. Okay, Earth's crust is the outermost solid shell of the planet. This is the first. Earth's crust is the outermost solid shell of the planet. It forms less than 1% of Earth's total volume. So second one is the it forms less than 1% of Earth's total volume. Third one is average thickness of Earth's crust is about 30 kilometer. Average thickness is 30 kilometer. Fourth, crust is thickest under continents and thinnest under oceans. So thickest is in continent and thinnest in under oceans. Fifth, continental crust average 35 km thick. Continental crust thickness about 35 km. Oceanic crust averages 5 to 10 km thick. So this is the thinnest and this is thickest. Okay. So number 7 is the crust is separated from the mantle by Mohorovičić discontinuity. So the crust is separated from the mantle by the Mohorovičić discontinuity. Remember it. The eighth number is the crust and uppermost mantle form the lithosphere. Crust and uppermost mantle form the lithosphere. Remember, the crust and uppermost of mantle forms the lithosphere. Okay. The crust is brittle compared to the plastic asthenosphere below. So the crust is brittle compared to the plastic asthenosphere below. Okay. Ten one is Earth's crust is constantly recycled through the plate tectonic. Earth crust is constantly recycled through the plate tectonic. This is the 11th number. 11th number, the crust is made of mostly oxygen, silicon, aluminium, iron, calcium, sodium, potassium, and magnesium. So remember this, oxygen is the most abundant, then silicon, aluminium, iron, calcium, sodium, potassium, and magnesium. Oxygen. Number 12 is oxygen makes up 46.6% of the crust. So most amount is oxygen. Okay. Silicon accounts for 27.7 of the crust of weight, crust by weight. Aluminium makes up 8.1% of the crust. So this is the third one. This is the third. This is second. And this is first. Its amount is 46.6%, and this amount is 27.7%, and this amount is 88.1%, 8.1% only. Okay. Iron forms about 5%. This is the fourth. Iron forms about 5% of the crust. Calcium constitutes about 3.6% of the crust. Sodium accounts for about 2.8% of the crust. Potassium makes up about 2.6% of the crust. Magnesium contains about 2.1% of the crust. Remember this amount of the mostly abundant made up mostly abundant oxygen, silicon, aluminium, iron, calcium, potassium, calcium, sodium, potassium, and magnesium. Okay, so the 20 number is the silicate minerals are the most abundant in the crust. Silicate minerals are the most abundant in the crust. Okay, so types of crust. This is the types of crust. There are two main types of crust. One is continental and other is oceanic. Remember, one is continental crust and other is oceanic crust. 22. Continental crust is granitic in composition. Continental crust is granitic in composition and oceanic crust is basaltic in composition. So, continent made up with granite, Okay, and ocean made up with basalt. Remember this. Next one. This is the 24th number. Continental crust is older and less dense than oceanic crust. So continental crust is older and less dense than oceanic crust. So when about we talk about dense, the oceanic crust is mostly dense. Okay, than the continental crust. Oceanic crust is younger and denser than continental crust. Oceanic crust is younger and denser than the continental crust. 26. The oldest continental crust is over 4 billion years old. The number 27. The oldest oceanic crust is less than 200 million years old. Okay, so number 28, the continental crust is more buoyant and floats higher on the planets, on the mantle. Okay, so 29 number one is oceanic crust subducts into the mantle at convergence plate boundary. When one plate converts to other plate, this is the oceanic crust as it is denser than the continental. 30. Number 30, continental crust is rarely gets subducted. Minerals and rocks. Granite is most common rock of continental crust. Okay, in continental crust we are mostly found granite, and in oceanic crust we are mostly found basalt. Basalt is the most common rock in oceanic crust. Okay, gabbro is the intrusive. Gabbro is the intrusive equivalent of basalt. Gabbro is the intrusive equivalent of basalt. So number 34, the crust is dominated by igneous rock. The crust is dominated by igneous rock. We all know there are three types of rocks. One is igneous, other is sedimentary, and other is metamorphic. Okay, so these are three types of rocks. And the 35 4 number said that the crust is dominated by igneous rocks. And in 35, sedimentary rocks covers about 75% of the earth crust surface, but form only 5% by volume. So sedimentary rocks covers about 75% of the crust surface, but form only 35% of by forms by only 5% by the volume. 36 numbers. Metamorphic rocks are formed from pre-existing rocks under heat and pressure. So in 36 number said about that metamorphic rocks are formed from pre-existing rocks under heat and pressures. As we all know that metamorphic rocks from the igneous and sedimentary rock. There forms a rock cycle. Okay, so 37 numbers, quartz is the most abundant mineral in continental crust. Quartz is the most abundant mineral in continental crust. Remember this. And 38 numbers say that the feldspars are the most abundant group of minerals in the crust. Feldspars is the most abundant group of minerals in the crust. Clay minerals dominated upper part of the crust. Clay minerals dominate in the upper parts of the crust. Okay, and 40 number, mafic rocks of dominate oceanic crust. So here 40 one liner are completed. Remember this. And another one is about earth crust is structure. So 41, the crust is layered, as we all know, then continent crust and oceanic crust. The upper layer of oceanic crust consists of pillow lavas. Okay, the middle layer of oceanic crust sheeted dikes. The lowest layer of oceanic crust consists of gabbro. The lowest layer of oceanic crust consists of gabbro. Remember this. 45 said the continental crust has a sialic upper part that is known as sial, silicon and aluminium. Silicon and aluminium. 46 number says continental crust has a mafic lower part that is sima. That is sima that are known as silicon and magnesium. That is silicon and magnesium. Silicon and magnesium. Okay. So Conrad discontinuity separates upper and lower continental crust. Crust is fractured by faults. Crust is fractured by faults. Crust is broken. Crust is broken into tectonic plates. Okay, remember this. Crust is broken into tectonic plates. Number 50. These plates float on the lithosphere. So we all know there are seven major plates. All are floating on astronosphere. And there are some meso and minor plates also. So geophysical properties. 51. Average density of continental crust is 2.7 gram per semi-cube. Remember this, average density of continental crust is 2.7 gram per semi-cube. Okay. So in 52, average density of oceanic crust is 3.0 gram per semi-cube. 53, seismic waves travel faster through the oceanic crust than continental crust. P waves reflect at the Moho boundary. And 55 said about heat flow through crust average 65 MWm square. So 56, the crust acts as an insulator trapping heat within the earth. 57, Earth's magnetic field is recorded in oceanic crust basalts. Next one is 58. 58, crustal thickness is measured by seismic refraction studies. 59, gravity anomalies indicates crustal thickness variation. 60, isostasy explains crustal equilibrium. Isostasy explains crustal equilibrium. Okay. Gravity anomalies indicates crustal thickness variation. Gravity anomaly. The next one is process affecting the crust. Weathering breaks down rocks the crust surface at the crust surface. Erosion transports weathered materials away. At first weathered, then erosion occurred. Okay, transport of weathered materials. This is known as erosion. And sedimentation forms new layers of crustal rock. Then 64. The 64 is volcanism adds new crust at mid-oceanic ridges. Volcanism adds new crust it at when we see about when we talk about the mid-oceanic ridge, that is the new crust. Okay. 65. Subduction destroys old oceanic crust. Subduction destroyed old oceanic crust. Okay. 66. Plate tectonics continuously reshaped crust. Remember this, plate tectonic continuously reshaped our crust. 67. Continental drift redistributes crustal masses. Continental drift, Wegener's by developed by Wegener's, the continental drifts. Okay, that is it is redistributed crustal masses. 68. Earthquakes occurs due to sudden crustal movement. The plate movement is the main reason for occurring in our earthquake in the earth. On the earth. Okay. So in 69, orogeny forms mountain belts in crust. Crustal rifting forms new oceanic basins. Okay. So this is the process affecting the crust and major crustal features. Another one is major crustal features. Okay. 71 said shields are areas of exposed Precambrian crust. Shields are areas of exposed Precambrian crust. 72, cratons forms the stable core of continents. 73, fold mountains are zones of thickened crust. Fold mountains are zones of thickened crust. 74, rift valleys are zones of thinnest crust. Rift valleys are zones of thinnest crust. 75, trenches mark where crust is subducted. Trenches mark where crust is subducted. Rift valleys are zones of thinned crust. 76. Oceanic ridges mark sites of new crust formation. 77. Plateaus form due to crustal uplift. Okay, plateaus form due to crustal uplift. 78. Basins are depressed parts of crust. Basins are depressed parts of crust. 79. Fault zones are weak regions of crust. Fault zones are weak regions of crust. 80. Volcanic arcs are formed on crust above subduction zone. Volcanic arcs are formed on crust above subduction zone. Next, chemical and isotopic evidences. Crust is enriched in incompatible elements. Okay. 82. Rare earth elements are concentrated in crust. 83. Crust has lower density than mantle due to differentiation. 84. Crustal rocks are developed in magnesium compared to the mantle rocks. And 85. Continental crust has higher silicon oxide content than oceanic crust. 86. Oceanic crust has higher uh, ferric, Fe, and magnesium content. 87. Crust formed early from partial melting of mantle. Crust formed early from partial melting of mantle. 88. Radiometric dating gives crustal ages. We know all about radiometric dating. Okay. 89. Zircon crystals preserves oldest crustal ages. Zircon crystal preserves oldest crustal ages. 90. Isotropic rations reveal crystals recycling. Human interference importance. Okay. So 91. Crust contains all minerals resources. 92. Most energy resources come from crust. 93. Soil forms on crust and supports life. Okay. 94. Groundwater is stored in crustal places. Pores, crustal pores. Okay. 95. Crust provides building materials like stone and clay. 96. Metals like iron, copper, gold occur in crust. 97. Fossil fuels like coal, oil, gas occur in sedimentary rocks, sedimentary crust. 98. Geothermal energy comes from crustal heat. 98. Earthquake pose hazards due to crustal strain. And 100 number 101 is volcanoes form where crust is fractures. So this is the 100th one liner of Earth's crust, about Earth crust. This is today's short life class. Okay, every day we I will post 100 one liner about geography. Okay, thank you so much. See you again.